Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police, Dame Cressida, says she was left with no choice but to stand down after London's Mayor Sadiq Khan accused her of failing to deal with misogyny and racism, amongst other things, in the force.
The first female leader in the Met's 193-year history, Cressida has led the force since 2017. But as the search for her replacement begins, can the Met regain the public's trust?
Well, joining us now is Stuart Lawrence, the brother of murdered teenager Stephen Lawrence, and former Met Police Chief Superintendent Parm Sandhu, and former Senior Counter-Terrorism Officer Chris Phillips. Good to see all of you this morning. Chief Superintendent Parm Sandhu, or former Chief Superintendent Parm Sandhu, you were one of those that wasn't necessarily rushing for her to go. Do you agree this is the right time, and what can be done?
You do have to give Cressida credit for leading the police service and being the first woman to do so. However, with what's happened over the last couple of years and with the comments that the Mayor has made this week, I do feel this is the right time for her to go. He held her to account for past failings and she wasn't able to come up with a plan. So, yes, in my view, it is time to move on and try and repair the damage that has been done to trust and confidence in policing.
I mean, trust and confidence is something that you, Stuart, have been trying and arguing for and worrying about for a long time. Is this an all-time low for you, or is it just that perhaps things have been exposed, and where next?
Things have been exposed. Where next? Like I said on Monday, I think the ISOB ball that Abiola Johnson is going to form is a game changer. I think that now that we are able to have a new leader in place as well, that will also aid the changes that we want to see going forward. Policing has to be done by consent, and that's by the public's consent. And we definitely need to find ways of getting the trust back into the police by the public.
Chris, let's come to you on this, because I know that you didn't feel like Cressida should have left her position. She didn't deserve to be kicked out. It's interesting to note that since 2005, none of the Met commissioners have completed their full time in office. We know that Cressida was given an extension not that long ago. Are all the candidates doomed from the start, that it's actually just it's too complicated a job?
Well, I think the changes in media and social media make the Commissioner's job very difficult, but also the fact that it's now been completely politicised. You know, one political party will be for and one will be against. And I think the Commissioner is in a terrible position. The independence of policing always allowed them to follow the law. I think we're now in a different situation. And I don't think Cressida has been given anywhere near the recognition for taking on a job that was pretty much impossible from day one.
So what do you mean? I mean, I think I can guess sort of what you mean, but perhaps just explain what you mean by politicised, because people watching will think, well, hang on a minute, doing the job well, any party would agree with. What has been made hard by politics for her?
I think the opinions of people right across the piece, whether it's politicians themselves seeing the legislation not being enacted exactly as they felt, will suddenly become a huge thing. And I think, you know, to be quite honest, I think journalists have played a big part in this as well. And of course, the rise in social media means that certain things get blown out of all proportion. And if someone does or doesn't get prosecuted, whether it be because of the legislation, if someone won't be happy about that. And I think the Commissioner's job now has become so difficult to try and ride this peace between the political parties, between a country that's divided, between a country that either hates or loves Boris Johnson and thinks that he should be either crucified or he should be kept in job. Yeah. And I think the Commissioner's job is really, really difficult. And don't forget, this is at a time when the police, she came into the job when the police had been cut back so dramatically and couldn't do the things that it had been doing for 50 years beforehand.
Interestingly, Parm, that was something we were talking about earlier with Ian Dale and Jackie Smith, and one of the questions that was posed to Jackie, obviously former Home Secretary, is actually, is this a job that's bigger than just one person. As Chris is pointing out, there are so many issues and so many factors that they're having to deal with. Do you think that whoever it is that takes over this role actually shouldn't just be one person and there should be 2 or 3 of them? There should be a different way of looking at the role?
I take on board Jackie Smith's comments because I did actually listen. But I do feel that if you've got the right person leading the Metropolitan Police, it can work. And I disagree with Chris in that I see social media as part of the transparency and accountability. It's an opportunity that should be used because the police are the community and the police should be listening to the community. That's where that's where the failings have been. So I think that had that social media opportunity been taken, had the police listened to what the public are saying, and this isn't just about homophobia, this isn't about racism, this isn't just about, misogyny. This is about everything. The people who are within the police service now are letting the side down. And the messages that we saw last week in that report, the Commission knew about those since 2018, and she didn't have a plan. I mean, surely that would have been the first thing you do. And that Sarah Everard, and I actually believe that the Met Commissioner took us backwards.
Right. Well, that is, I suppose, one of the reasons why she was encouraged to go. Stuart, you were nodding vigorously about the idea of dividing it up and making it more than one person. How would you divide it up? And do you have someone in mind who could come in? Because we need someone to come in and take charge now on both the Met level and the national responsibilities that post has too.
Yeah, I totally agree about maybe splitting it up. London's such a big city. Compared to some of the other federations, it would make sense maybe to have 2 people in a role. I don't have anyone in mind because I don't know everyone that works inside the police force. I've met some really good officers in my time working with the police. But I'd also like to go back to the point that the other gentleman made about how it was a hard job. Well, it's not a hard job when we've got police officers making and saying absolutely disgusting things. That's not a hard job. That's an easy thing to solve. And that's an easy mentality to have. If you're a police officer, you should be holding the letter of law to account, and you should be an absolutely outstanding citizen and be able to represent not only yourself, but also the federational force that you're representing as well. So there are little things that we could definitely do better. I don't think it's all politicised. I don't think it's down to political parties to ensure that the police behave and act in the way that they're supposed to. OK. I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there. We do appreciate you all joining us this morning. That's Stuart Lawrence, Parm Sandhu and Chris Phillips.